What's up, everyone? So, update. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for all the prayers and calling me and texting me and checking in on me and being there for Jessica and being there for my family and all my relatives and friends and Facebook friends and getting IMs, and it's been kind of cool. Not You don't really realize when things happen to you how you affect other people. And so, I mean, you always, you affect the people around you, you know that, but you don't think about other people like on the outside of that. So it's been interesting to like hear from some people that I didn't even know knew I existed. So, but anyways, so I just want to say thank you again for all the prayers and the thoughts and the wishing wells and all that stuff. It meant a lot to me. It had definitely helped. For those that don't know or seeing this for the first time, so Friday night, I felt really bad. We just went to that paranormal cirque thing in at North Point Mall. That was pretty cool, by the way. Check it out. Um, it's like a smaller version of Cirque du Soleil, but they use like ghosty stuff. And they got a cool story. It's pretty funny. It's rated R, so I wouldn't recommend taking the kids, but it was cool. It was different. Anyways, so that Friday night, we went to a restaurant and we ate. And on the way home, I was feeling awful. And for those who know me, like I drive all the time, and no matter how tired I get, like I know my limit, but I hardly reach it. So for me to pull over because I'm too tired or feeling is rare. So Friday night, I couldn't do it, and I had to pull over, and then Jess drove us home, and I was just feeling bad. And then Saturday we had a recital to go to for Little Miss Haven, and I wanted to go too. I wanted to be there, so I got up and went, and this was early, and I just still wasn't feeling good and feeling dizzy being in the car, and I was just so tired. And I remember just to myself just thinking, wow, like I'm just exhausted and maybe I'm just overtired. I just got a shower, by the way. That's why my hair's all puffy and weird. Sorry. Felt so good to take a shower, by the way. Whew, boy. But anyways, so I wasn't feeling good, and we got to the recital, and I tried to get out of the car, and I just couldn't, and I was like, I'm sorry. Haven understood, but I was like, I gotta take a nap. I got to, like, I had to fall asleep, and of course, I laid there in the van and never fell asleep. But I closed my eyes and I laid in the back, but I just couldn't sleep. So they got done with the recital and they came back, and I got back in the passenger side and I was just trying to get comfortable, and I just felt like my heart was just gonna explode. You get so tired, and Jess was like, as soon as we get home, just go to bed. Relax, try to catch up. I was like, yeah, fine, okay. So the whole time, like we're in the car, we're moving and stopping and turning and stuff, and I just, you get that nausea. I was like, just get me out of this car. So finally got out of the car and got home, and I, took my clothes off, whatever, tried to get as comfortable as I could. Turned off all the lights and the curtains and stuff, and got really dark in here, and I just laid down. And I just kept telling myself, like, I got to sleep. And man, I just couldn't. Every time I laid down, like I felt like my brain was racing, and then I kept feeling this pressure on my chest, and I just kept feeling my body like drifting away. Like I'm talking about, that feeling of where you just feel yourself laying down, and you feel like, I guess, your soul just like floating off, and you're like, well, wait a minute, go back to your body. So I had that feeling, and it freaked me out. And So after about, I don't know, it was like 10, 15 minutes, I told Jess, I was like, hey, I called her in there. I was like, something's wrong. I can't sleep. I'm so tired, so exhausted. I feel nauseous. My heart feels like it's stopping. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm not going to lie, I broke down and I cried. I started crying. I started having like an anxiety attack. And like something was just telling me, like, that was it, like I was going to die. And so I was telling her, I was like, I don't want to die. I was like, I got too much things to do and stuff. And I was like, nobody wants to die, obviously, but you know what I mean? Like it hits you, and you start breaking down. And so she was like holding me and trying to calm me down. And then I felt this like body numbness. And then that's when I looked at her and I was like, we gotta go to the emergency room. And for those of you that know me, know like I hate hospitals. I don't have insurance, so that's one of the reasons, because it gets really expensive. And just they always, hospitals. A lot of people are like that. So it takes an act of God for me to want to go to the hospital. So that's how serious it was. It was like to the point where I was just like, all right, that's it. Why is this hair sticking up? Anyways, I guess I should have been like the girls and put on all the makeup and be all pretty and get the good lighting. Like I said, I just got a shower. I don't care. Anyways, so we hurried up as fast as we could to get in the car, and as we were driving, I lost feeling in my left arm, which to me is like heart attack, right? So I was like, oh, I can't feel my arm. So I was telling Jess, like, hurry up. We got behind. This is crazy to me. We got behind an ambulance. It looked like an ambulance. It said ambulance across it, and it was sitting there at a red light. And so I told Jess, I was like, flag him down. Like, I gotta get to the hospital. At that point, I was like, I'm anxious and everything. And so she pulls up beside him and she's like yelling. She's like, hey, he needs help, blah, blah, blah. And it was this young kid. And he just kind of looks over, and Jess is telling me this part because I'm kind of out of it at this time, but I remember some of it, bits and pieces. I remember getting really mad at them. I don't know what they said, but Jess told me that, he looked and he said, sorry, we're not an ambulance, we're a medical, transport or something like that, and laughed. And it's like, okay, like they're looking, I'm over here going like, like breathing and my arms going numb and panicking and stuff. And it's like, you can tell there's something wrong with me, and it's like they didn't care. Then the light turned green, and instead of letting us go in front of them or put on their lights and let us follow them or anything, they just went in front of us going like 45 miles an hour. And Jess has got her emergency flashers on and stuff like that. And it's a, two or one lane road, so you can't pass. And they're just going their normal speed. And I'm like, go around them. But every time Jess tried to go around them, there was cars coming the other way. So I was, oh man, if I could go back and find out who these people were, I would, man, like they need to be fired. So first of all, it's like, you didn't want to do anything. Second of all, you could have helped and you did. And third, then you're going to get in front of us and drive the speed limit. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. And so if you're not an ambulance, take the ambulance off the van. Okay? So anyways, finally they turned, and then Jess, God love her, was driving faster than she usually does. I always joke because like I probably got there in like 5 minutes, but she did good for her, and like she waited at a red light when there's other cars. So I'm like, just go, and my right arm goes out. And I'm like, okay, now I'm panicking or having a heart attack or something. So she's trying to drive, and so I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, talk to me. I'm having a panic attack. I don't feel right. Something is wrong, blah, blah, blah. Just keep my mind into it and everything. And so my mom is trying to talk to me, and everything's fine, that whole thing. And during the time, like I could feel my arms, like I said, they were going numb. My fingers, I still had some finger, but they started tingling. And so my instant thought was text my kids and my family, my closest family. And so I did. I texted them while I still had wits about me. My mom's talking to me, Jess is driving, and I'm texting, and I'm like, just letting you guys know, I'm not trying to scare anyone or something, but like something is wrong. I don't feel right. We're heading to the hospital. If something happens, know that I love you guys. And I forgot what else. It was something short though, but I think that was it. Honestly, I think it was just I love you guys very much or something like that. And of course, as soon as I hit that, like my immediate family and my kids and stuff were all trying to call me, and I just in my mind it's like if this is the last breath I take or whatever, like I want them to know, I want them to have a text or something. I don't want to find out from somebody else. Whether that's a good move or not, who knows? Some parents would say that was probably a bad idea. Some parents would say sure, whatever. That's what I did. Okay, and if in that situation again, I would do that same thing because I want a text or a voicemail or call if I have the chance. Not a lot of people get that chance to say goodbye. So I wanted to make sure I did. So after that, I sent the text and everything, and they're trying to call, and I'm hanging up. My mom's still talking to me, and my fingers just start going numb. And I'm like, okay, like I'm looking over at Jess. I'm like, Jess, you need to hurry. You need to hurry. And she's getting close to the hospital, and as we were about ready to pull in, it was the weirdest feeling. It was like something took over my body, and I lost feeling in my legs, and I remember just trying to stay awake, and I felt like I kept trying to pass out. And you guys can ask Jess the rest of that because I was like, after that, like it's like as soon as I knew we were getting to the hospital, I guess they said I had a TIA, mini stroke or mini seizure or whatever that is. I don't know doctor stuff. So I was like blah blah, in and out, and Jess was saying I was trying to talk to her, but I wasn't making sense, and all that. And I remember going to the ER, and she pulled in the wrong way because I told her I was like just because it's saying we had to go around and then the other way, and that's where the ambulance go, and I'm like just go, just go. And so I see her pull into there, and I see them coming out and saying, "Ma'am, you can't park there," or whatever. And from there, I was out. Um, from the stories that I heard and from what people were telling me and stuff like that, I remember bits and pieces as it's over now. Like my brain is like reliving some of the images, I guess, and putting it together. So I remember bits and pieces. But from the stories and from what everybody was saying, they brought me into the ER. And they were like doing their blood tests and all that, and I started passing out. So they put me in a wheelchair, and as they were taking my blood, I about fell out of the wheelchair. So someone had to grab me or something, and then after that they just rushed me to the back. And man, I'm telling you, hopefully none of y'all have to ever go through this. The scariest thing was, it was kind of cool, kind of bad. The cool part was how your mind works when you're in flight or fight or flight or flight or fight. I forget which how it works, but it's cool how the human body, when you're in distress, the things that you do. And so my mind, I'm like focus, try to ask questions, try to stay awake. I kept listening for Jess's voice, and I kept looking around for her. And I remember grabbing badges and trying to say, there was a room full of people, and I remember just grabbing their badges, and I was trying to say their names. Just something to think about, something to keep my brain and my wits about me. I don't know what I was saying. I don't know if I was saying their names. I don't know. In my mind, I was talking to them and having conversations, but from what I've heard from other people and stuff like that, I was making no sense. But anyways, so I remember a piece of it. I remember just grabbing my face and going, babe, babe, look at me, look at me. And I was trying to focus on her face, and like I couldn't. She was so blurry, and I remember like somewhat going cross-eyed, and it's like she was over here and she was over here, but like I couldn't put the image together, and I just tried to stay with her, and I thought in my mind I was having a conversation with her, but I guess I wasn't. She said I was mumbling a lot and stuff. So a lot of people were asking me questions and things like that, and I kept passing out, and then they would wake me up, and then they would ask me questions and blah blah blah, and I was out again, and then I remember waking up, and there was like five people on one side, five people on the other side, lifting me up and put me in. I guess it was an MRI or a CAT scan or something. Just one of those things where it looks like, when they do the cancer thing. I remember them lifting me up and putting me in there, and I remember, them and the thing going over me, and then I was out again. I don't know what else they did, if they did any other tests or not. I haven't looked at the bill yet, so I don't know all the tests that they did to me. But once all that was said and done, um, I guess they brought me back to the room, and the nurses and stuff were asking me questions, and they were asking me to smile. They were asking me to lift my left leg and my right leg and my arms and stuff like that. And to me, when they were asking me that, I was smiling and I was lifting my arms and legs, and like I was like, okay, like what's this got to do with the price of tea in China, And apparently, my right arm wasn't moving at all. My left leg wasn't moving at all, and my right leg was barely moving, and my left arm was moving. And I guess when I smiled, like, I had the like droopiness, so like this side was up and this side was down. I felt like I was smiling just fine. It was so surreal because it's like you're kind of in and out, and you're trying to focus in survival mode, and when they're talking to you, you feel like you're doing it, but I guess I wasn't. So, um, after all that, a lot happened in between. A lot of, how doctors are. You're in there for like an hour, 2 hours and stuff. People constantly coming in, and they poked me, and I had like two IVs and or tubes in one arm and two tubes in the other arm, and then they hooked me up to all those patches and stuff like that. And so there was a lot of that going on, asking questions. It seemed like every time I passed out, they'd wake me up, and I remember just being like, I'm so tired, like just let me sleep. And it's like they wouldn't. I was getting mad at them, I was like, I just want to sleep. In my mind, I'm like, I'm just overexhausted, like I just need sleep, and I'll be fine. But I guess it was way worse than that. So, they told me they were wanting to do the lumbar spinal tap, whatever thing, and I had to sign off for that. And they didn't get it the first 3 times, so like they made everybody leave the room, and like 4 guys came in, and like the 2 guys were holding me down, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I don't know what I even signed off for. Jess and my mom both said like I have to do it, so I was like, okay, whatever, at this point. So I didn't even know what it was, or what I was getting into. For those of you that are wondering about that, it's one of those things where you feel the cut and you feel the needle go in that's supposed to numb you. You feel that part, so like it hurts, and then it numbs. So then it's like the next needle that goes in, it's numb, but it's pressure. So it feels like, when you have to use the restroom and like you're constipated and it goes back in. So it feels like that. It feels like something's pushing something in, and it's very uncomfortable, but it's not like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But it's just an uncomfortable pain. And they laid me on my side and curled up in a fetal position. And he tried it like 3 times, and he couldn't get any fluid out of there. And when they actually hit your spinal cord or whatever you want to call it, your bone or whatever, that hurts. That hurts pretty bad. He did that like twice, and I was like, oh God. But I didn't cry, So, anyways, I think he tried it the 4th time, and he said he couldn't get anything, so they had to call somebody else in there. And I think while we were waiting for the other guy, I think he tried it one more time. So I think we're up to 5 times now, and he couldn't get anything. So then the other guy comes in, and they sit me up, and he wants me to sit up straight, and he wants to go through my back this way while I'm slouched over. So he does that, and that hurt the first time because the numbness ran out, and so they had to redo all that stuff, and I felt like someone took a knife to my back, and that kind of sucked. But he's really good about it though, and he did the first try, and I got right in there, and I could feel it, but again couldn't get any fluid. I don't know why. Um, so he's like, we did it, but nothing's coming out, so they had to stop. So I think it was like 5 or 6 times they tried this thing and couldn't get anything. And that it wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but I definitely don't want to go through that again if I don't have to. And so once that got done, they pumped me full of like tons of stuff. I went through like 6 or 7 bags of saline or IV, whatever that stuff is when you're dehydrated. And I remember peeing a lot, and when I peed, like I remember it being really dark brown, so I was very dehydrated. So after sitting there for a while and people coming in and out and, making sure all my stuff's good, my heart's and blood pressure like every 20, 30 minutes and blah, 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 they finally admitted me and brought me to a room. And at that point, they were all saying like it was probably meningitis and stuff because of the signs and that I had a mini stroke and blah, 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 but they weren't for sure because they had to wait for the labs and they couldn't get the fluid out. So a doctor came in and told me that they're just going to go ahead and just start the antibiotics for meningitis because they don't know which one it is, if it's viral, bacterial, or there was another one, antiseptic or something like that. I can't remember all of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them. So since they didn't know, they were just going to treat me for all of them. And so they didn't know if I was contagious or not or anything like that. So of course, that was Saturday. And from Saturday to Monday. So I was there Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I was there 3 days. And, it's rough. And nurses coming in and out like every 20, 30 minutes. You're trying to sleep. As soon as you fall asleep, they wake you up. Now, they're doing their job. I'm not saying nothing wrong. They're doing what they're supposed to. But, you're so tired and just trying to get your wits about you. And it's like you're getting woken up every 20, 30 minutes, it seems like. Could have been hours. I don't know. But it seemed like it was constant. And I went through a lot of bags of antibacterial stuff. And I went through a lot of the IV stuff. And there wasn't, it seemed like every single time there was a machine, there was like 4 or 5 bags hooked up. And they were constantly taking my blood and taking my pressure and stuff like that. And again, for all the medical stuff, you can ask Jessica, because she knows all that stuff. But anyway, so finally, like after all that stuff and surviving pretty much, and the doctors told us that, that I had either a mini seizure, mini stroke, whatever, TIA thing. But the problem is the test that they do only test when it's happening. And they couldn't do that as it was happening. So they just said that that's what that was. But the good thing was I think it was Sunday. I don't know if it was Saturday night or Sunday. I got feeling back in my arm. And my leg. I was weak, but like when they tell you to push on my leg and grab and squeeze and stuff like that, like I was barely doing it, but at least I was moving somewhat. But my right arm continued not to move at all. So I think it was Sunday, maybe afternoon or something like that. And these days and nights get all mixed up. I was finally able to start moving my right arm. So, and no one said anything to me. I don't think my face is droopy or anything. So I think I'm good there. So yeah, praise the Lord that everything went back to normal and I was able to function again and talk again and all that stuff. So, Monday, they wanted me to stay one more day, and but we had to wait for the anti-disease something, some big long title doctor, infectious disease, the ones that say you can go and you can't go kind of thing. So we were waiting for him. He was supposed to come Sunday and he didn't. He got too busy, so he came Monday. Um, and that's when he came down. He was like, you know, you had a certain type of meningitis, and um, you had like a mini stroke or whatever, but you're not contagious. And Jess has been with me all the time. Nothing's happened to her, and people I've been around, they're fine. So he's like, yeah, he's like, so we'll call it as that, and everything looks great. Vitals look great. Everything's fine. And so that's that, And I remember Saturday, it's either Saturday or Sunday morning, when the other doctors would come in and talk to me and stuff like that. They let me know the severity of it, and the thing was, is as I was knocking on death's door. So if I would have just tried to fall asleep in the bed, I probably would not be here talking to you. So it's a good thing I finally got to the point where I was like, I need to go to the ER. I'm glad I made that call. So that was pretty scary, and I put poor Jess, put her through the ringer. So it was definitely serious. Like, I was knocking on death's door, and the seizure and the panic attacks and all that just made it worse. And so I'm glad that they saved my life. I mean, let's just call it what it is. They saved my life, and I thank them for that. And we gotta power through, do what we do. So that's my story. That's what happened from my point of view. Again, thank you guys for the prayers and the love and everything, because it was pretty serious. And if they wouldn't have figured that out and they were like treating me for something else, or just thought I was having like a mini heart attack or something like that, I would have died. So everything's fine now. I feel better. I'm sore, as anything. The only other thing that kind of sucks, I got meds for it and everything like that, but I'm not a med person. I don't take medication, but I'm gonna have to start now. But so I've been reading up and stuff like that about like PTSD and people that go through these traumas and stuff, and how like things happen. I feel pretty good, but there's been moments where the littlest stress makes me feel like I'm having a panic attack. And I mean, it's to be expected, I guess. If you guys have made it this far in my story and you have these things happen to me, please reach out to me, comment, private message me if you want. Like, how do you guys deal with it? Like, I want to hear some stories of other people going through it and what they do. They gave me medicine, like I said, for it, but I don't want to get hooked on medicine where like I have to do it. So I'm trying to like, a lot of people that do the PTSD and all that kind of stuff like that, they like, they kind of dwell in the moment or relive it a lot, and it gives them the panic attack and stuff like that. So I'm trying to just move on. You know what I mean? So I went back to work, which I probably shouldn't have, but I went back to work and I started, every day just, so today's what, Wednesday? So Monday after I got home and Tuesday, I just kind of acted like a normal day. Took a shower, went to work, just going to bed was rough. I feel like, because that's what because the whole not sleeping, and when I wanted to fall asleep, that's when I felt like I was dying. So so the last 2 nights have been kind of rough when it comes to sleep, because when it's time to go to bed and I lay down, my body wants to have an anxiety attack. And I gotta like breathe, and I gotta just remember that like I'm fine now, and everything's good, and it's just my mind and not the problem that I had. And that's the thing you gotta separate, is like the problem that I had is gone. So now anytime it feels like that problem, it's just me creating it, or having the attack, or depression or whatever it is. So that's been kind of rough for me. But other than that, I seem to be doing okay. And anytime I start feeling like I'm having an anxiety attack, or I get too stressed and my heart starts pounding a little bit or whatever, I just take a breath and I take my mind off it by like playing a video game, or just watching some show or something like that, or even just talking to like Haven or something like that. So, and of course, I've been reading Bible verses and looking at videos and stuff, and that really helps, because, excuse me, some of my friends here aren't Christians and don't believe in God, and that's okay. No hate for you, but when you go through stuff like that from a spiritual point of view, you definitely want to connect more, knowing how fragile life is and how you can go anytime. It makes you start looking into that more. So I've been trying to connect with my father a lot more that way and let him give me peace. So still pray for me, y'all, and hopefully we can get through this and just get back to normal. But I'll tell you, everybody thinks every once in a while that we're all gonna die, and we're all got to go through it, and when you sit there and dwell on it, it gets to you. So people just tune it out and they go back to their lives, and it's hard when you actually go through something like that. It hits you. It's like I've said it 1,000 times. Well, eat right, exercise, die anyways. We're all gonna die. Live your life as much as you can. Don't worry about stuff because you could be dead tomorrow. I say stuff like that all the time, but until you actually go through it, now it's like, whoa, like I could die. I almost died. Just like that, like out of nowhere, no signs, no nothing. Like Friday, we're having a great time. Friday night, I'm tired. Saturday, I'm just exhausted, and then I almost die. You know what I mean? It's like just like that. Never showed no signs, no symptoms, no nothing. It just came out of nowhere and hit me, and it's like, wow, like that's how fragile this life is. And all I could think about was my loved ones and my family, and it's surreal. So, but anyways, so that's my story. That's my story, and if you stuck with me that long, great. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Appreciate everything, and we'll talk to you later.